This channel is supported by all of these awesome brands. For today's video, I will be sharing the full build of my GBWC N3. So sit down, relax, and grab a snack. For this will be quite a long video that I hope you find interesting. But first, I want to talk a bit about my backstory and history that led me to join this year's GBWC. So I have mentioned a couple of times how I joined GBWC before. I joined 2 times actually. The first was when I was only 8 years old, and that was back in 2011. That was also the first GBWC contest that Bandai held, because the previous one was called Bakuk. Anyways, that time I got bronze or 3rd place, which is honestly fine because I wasn't as competitive back then as I am now. So the second time that I joined was when I was 11. This was in 2014, and again I got the 3rd place. I honestly don't remember a lot about both times. Like, I get surprised when I see photos of little old me building Gunpla kits, because I don't remember ever building any of those. But my dad has a ton of pictures of me building and playing with Gunpla, so it did happen. So 2014 was the last time I joined GBWC. Mostly because my dad at the time was slowly losing interest in Gunpla. That was when he started painting miniatures. And also 2014 was the time that decided not to let my dad enter his own entry due to some stupid rule about needing a receipt as proof that you bought the Gunpla kit from Toys R Us. That's a whole other issue that should be on another video. But yeah, you can probably read about it on my dad's blog. Anyways, that's 2014. So after that, I guess I got busy with school because that was also the year I entered high school. And my dad got into painting miniatures. So 4 years passed by without me and my dad doing anything Gunpla related. That was a 4-year break, and then 2018 came and we started renovating and converted one of the rooms into my dad's office. So while we were cleaning up stuff, I saw my GBWC trophy and just decided that maybe I want to get back into Gunpla building, seriously this time. Okay, so backstory to this backstory. My dad was commissioned to illustrate a few Gunpla-inspired t-shirt designs. So that kinda sparked my interest again, I think. Back to the story. After I told my dad that I want to try Gunpla again, he got me an SD kit. Can you believe that? He gave me an SD kit. What am I, a kid? Just kidding. So after 4 years, my first build was the SD Unicorn Gundam. Kinda ironic because I don't like the unicorn kits now. Anyways, after building that SD kit, I think I got another SD kit that I primed with spray cans. And then I got a hold of drill bits and started drilling all over that poor SD kit and stuffing it with sewing pins. So I obviously got bored with that, so I looked for one of my dad's old HG kits and got a Desert Dome, I think. And just a week after I built that SD kit, I started customizing, for real. I'm honestly surprised looking back at it because that was fast. Anyway, so for my first custom, I added a mono eye with a plastic rod. And I even tried panel line scribing. Of course, it looked bad, and so I did not finish that custom build at all. And then a month later, I bought my kits for GBWC 2019. At this time, I was only 16, and I got the RE Hama Hama and the RE Schwalbe Race. And I started kit bashing and going all out. Okay, so my idea for GBWC entry that year is honestly still a good idea. I mean, I still like it even now, so I might finish or remake that build one of these days. So the idea for that was a water type Gunpla, like a mermaid thing, fighting with the winged angel like Gunpla. Basically, the idea was two Gunpla kits that are the total opposite of each other in everything, from the design up to the color scheme. So I obviously did not finish that entry again and did not even join that year. But you can also scroll down my Instagram far enough to see all of the whips and photos of that build if you want. So the only reason why I did not finish is because I wasn't ready, plain and simple. That summer vacation before the GBWC 2019, I had all the time in the world to finish my entry. But I procrastinated too much and hesitated a lot because admittedly, my skills were non-existent at that time. I mean, I got back just a month before and then I decided to go ahead and kit bash. Looking back, that was a bit too much, even for someone as good as me. Just kidding. Anyways, 2019, my dad and I went to Singapore for Tetsujin, a Gunpla competition. So I met a ton of awesome and talented builders like Toymaker, Choco Falcon, Jeff, and Eric Yap. And that's when I got even more inspired to build and be better. And after that visit to Singapore, of course, I was still a bit frustrated with myself since I did not finish my entry and all that. So year 2020, I really focused and made my first airbrush Gunpla kit with the diorama. That was the HG RX78-2 that you can see on my Instagram as well. So I went all out on that build, I airbrushed it, I even did some heavy weathering for the first time as well, and made a diorama. And so after that, I started practicing and improving myself with smaller and more manageable builds. And I didn't join any competitions at all until this year. The moment that they announced that GBWC is back for this year, I knew I needed to join. I had to join because it's what I've been waiting for over 2 years now. And I spent the past years honing my skills and improving myself because I was waiting for this moment. So I could not pass it up. And the main reason why I wanted to join is because I was after the prizes. I really wanted to win a lot of the kits. So it was kind of a bummer when they revealed that the prize is one high grade kit. And that's it. I mean, I even debated not joining, but I decided to join just as a practice and test of my skills. Now, after that long backstory of mine, let's now talk about my entry to this year's GBWC contest. That is, if you're still listening. So, GBWC Philippines happened last Sunday, and I went home as a champion in my category, the under 20 category. And I just want to say a quick congratulations again to all of the participants and winners. The fact that you guys joined is already a win in my books. And I hope to see you all again and compete against some of you next year. So the title of my very own entry to this year's GBWC contest is Coup d'etat Cubely Evolve. It's a nod to my daddy's very own 2008 Bacok World Champion called the Coup d'etat. All of my years in the Gunpla modeling scene and even way back when I was a kid, I have been surrounded by the most talented, supportive, and just plain awesome people and builders alike. They have watched me grow and improve my skills and gave me tips and helpful advices to be better. And so I wanted to show my appreciation to all of these awesome people through my entry to this year's competition. When I met Eric Yap, or Eric's93, and if you don't know him, you should. He is Malaysia's multiple champion in Bacok and GBWC, and he's one of the very few modelers that I really look up to. He gave me a ton of useful tips and taught me all the tricks he knew to make my builds look even better. I learned how to make my gunpla float without the stand being visible through him. I learned how to design my diorama and how to plan the composition through him. And he's just been a huge help even though he denies it. So I just want to say another thank you to Eric for being an awesome modeler that I aspire to be. And of course, Uncle Kenny, or Toy Maker. He's been a friend of my dad for probably almost 2 decades now, and he is also the original rival of my dad. He's the one who does build-offs with him, and I always liked his custom builds way better. So for my main kit, I chose to use the Master Grade Cubely and took inspiration from Toy Maker's very own Cubely Evolve, which you can see on his blog. So thank you again, Uncle Kenny, for making that Cubely Evolve years ago, because if you did not, then I would have no reference to go by. So if you look at my entry build, you'll see a lot of these tiny details and Easter eggs that is a nod to the old school modelers that I look up to. Basically, the entirety of my build, from the idea to the design, to the amount of details I added, how I added those customs and everything, is a nod to the old school ways of gunpla modeling. I decided to design my entry to look mature. I wanted the design to be more mature and refined instead of just looking like an overly detailed gunpla. Most of you know that I love panel line scribing. I can do it on every single part of a gunpla kit. But my dad keeps reminding me to hold back and really plan out where to put those panel lines and how much to put for this build. But the lesson we learned after the competition and after looking some more at my entry is that I should have went ahead and got crazy with the detailing, because all the panel line scribing holes, option parts, IC pins, and all that is still what makes a model really eye-catching. So maybe there really is no such thing as being overly detailed. Yeah, next time I'm going all out with the detailing as well. So even though I restrained myself in this build with the panel line scribing, I really went all out with the customization and it's still noticeable, I hope. You can see the kit bash, the scratch built parts, and of course the armor layering and armor trimming. All of which I managed to do by using 2 master grade Cublees. So you might be wondering, why kit bash when you're just gonna use the same exact model kits? Well, the first thing is that I wanted an evolved version of the Cubely. So of course, I will use another one. And the second is that even though I kit bash, I still wanted to keep the Gunpla aesthetic. I used the same exact kits because that's my way of respecting the Gunpla design. I mean, you have to remember that GBWC is a Gunpla competition. You have to play by the rules. You have to play the game by making a Gunpla custom build and not an original mecha using Gunpla parts. At least for my dad and I, that's what we think. And of course, I want my custom build to be unique and one of a kind. But I still want people to think of Gunpla and Gundam when they see it. Just like before, when modelers would kit bash a ton of kits, but the end result will still be recognizable as a Gunpla. So my entry is a nod to the OG Gunpla modelers that really took their craft seriously. The modelers that actually have a cohesive idea and made it come to life. And not just made a clusterfuck of plastic parts. I mean, don't get me wrong, those bouquet of plastics and all are impressive and it's hard work. But I'm always gonna pick the one with the story and well thought out design. That's why I do prefer the old school Gunpla builds. But of course, the newer modelers, the newer way or the more modern style of Gunpla modeling, like what we usually see now, is also impressive. It's comparable to the old school ways of Gunpla modeling. They're just different. And it's still something that other people can look up to because it is good work. I mean, it's just personal preference if you want the old school ways or like the more modern designs. I'm just saying that I like the custom builds of before because every build is original and creative and not a copycat or a replica of another build. So personally, for my builds moving forward, I want it to be a combination of the old school ways and the present. So the story behind my diorama is similar to my dad's own story, but mine is just a tiny bit better. So my title is Coup d'etat, Cubely Evolved, because a coup d'etat happened. And the Hyzak and the Cubely were supposed to be on the same team. But stuff happened and all that, the details are fuzzy. So half of the workers imprisoned their enemies, the other workers that did not agree with them, in a secret base deep in the mountains. And they took kids as well. So the Cubely and its pilot, of course, had to save everybody. And that's what you see in my diorama. The enemy is defeated and the Cubely managed to save everyone. So in my story, the good guy is the winner. In my dad's story, a coup d'etat happened but the enemy won. The one who started that coup d'etat, the Camphor, won. And moving on, my entry is also a bit of an experiment to see if the old school style or my dad's style from before still works and can still win GBWC now. And the conclusion is that yes, it can still win and compete with Kitbash Cluster Fox. And so I'm really happy and proud of myself for being able to finish this build and being able to compete again. And I'm also glad that I got to film the process from start to finish because I get to share it with you guys. And also, I cannot wait to share more of this journey with you all. So stay tuned as I have at least one more video to share about my GBWC experience. So before the reveal of my entry, of course, I have to share with you all how I made the awesome wooden base that I have. My granddad, or Lolo Dada as I call him, is my go-to guy for anything involving woodworking and all that. The lathe machine that I use to make the Zaco metal spikes is from him. So yeah, I asked him if we could make a wooden base for my diorama because I did not want to use a cheap picture frame as a base. So I got a slab of wood from the hardware store and we got to work. Well, my Lolo Dada did most of the work and I just stood by to grab things for him and tighten some clamps. But still, that's contribution enough. So it actually took us quite a while to finish this wooden base because aside from taking breaks because of how hard it is to actually do work like this, we had to get familiar with the tools and we had to learn how to do the guides and all that just because we haven't really done this before. But yeah, we managed to finish just in time for the competition. So after my Lolo Dada did all of the hard work, it was my turn to finish up the base. So first, I applied some very smelly wood stain. And this was actually very satisfying because you can see that it sips through the wood and well, the color changes. And then after that, I applied a sanding sealer. But I did not manage to film it. But I did add some. After that, it wasn't smooth enough, so I sanded it again and I applied a new layer of wood stain. And then a gloss varnish on top, and that's it. So if you're still watching at this point, I just want to say thank you, and I hope you are not bored yet. But I just wanted to share a side-by-side of my entry with my dad's 2008 backhook world champion. This is actually one of my most favorite custom builds by my dad. And I do have to admit that my dad's build is way more detailed than mine. But it doesn't matter because my trophy is bigger and shinier. So suck it, Dad! And that's it for today's video. Again, I just want to say a quick thank you to all of you for all the awesome messages and comments you've given and just the awesome support in general. I really hope you liked this video and found it interesting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next one. Bye!